Welcome, friends, to our magical 30-day challenge. We are bringing you a new story every single day.
This is day 2. Like and subscribe to help us reach our 100,000 subscriber goal together. Once upon a time, in the harmonious kingdom of Chime, where crystal bells rang softly in the breeze, lived 2 royal sisters. They lived in a magnificent castle with tall spires that touched the clouds. But the 2 sisters were as different as day and night.
And then the dragon flew right over the villa. Honestly, Alara, it was huge.
The elder sister was named Princess Seraphina, but the people of the land affectionately called her the Talkative Princess. Her voice was never still, for she felt that every silence was an empty space that needed to be filled with joy and words. Seraphina filled the castle halls with her endless chatter, greeting every statue, servant, and stray cat she passed. She would ask 100 questions a minute, her words swirling around her head like a flock of dizzy, colorful butterflies.
Oh, hello, Sir Reginald. Isn't the sky marvelously blue today? I do hope the tarts are strawberry. They are my absolute favorite.
The younger sister was Princess Ilara, known as the Silent Princess, for she had not spoken a single word since birth. Ilara communicated through graceful hand gestures, expressive eyes, and a warm smile that could light up a room without a sound. She always carried a silver notebook where she sketched beautiful drawings to show people exactly what she was thinking. While her sister chattered, Ilara observed the world with a quiet intensity, noticing the small magic that others missed. Their father, King Theodore, loved both his daughters dearly, though Seraphina's constant noise often gave him a slight headache. One morning in the royal gardens, Seraphina was busy recounting a strange dream to a very patient rosebush.
And then the dragon turned into a giant teapot. A teapot! And it poured purple juice.
Nearby, Ilara sat silently on a stone bench, watching a spider weave a delicate web between 2 flowers. She sketched the pattern of the web in her book, completely lost in the peaceful beauty of the quiet garden. Seraphina bounced over to her sister, eager to share her thoughts, breaking Ilara's concentration with a splash of noise.
Alara, why are you so quiet? You'll never make friends with the garden gnomes if you don't say hello.
Ilara gently closed her sketchbook and offered her sister a patient smile, pointing to the beauty of the silent flowers. The kingdom was preparing for the annual Festival of Sounds, the grandest and loudest celebration of the entire year. Servants polished the great brass trumpets and tuned the strings of 100 violins in the great hall. The hall was packed with musicians, singers, and guests from all over the land, creating a hum of excitement. Seraphina was in paradise, her voice rising above the orchestra as she charmed every guest with her stories. Ilara stood quietly by a marble pillar near the throne, communicating with a deaf musician using elegant hand signs. The king stood up to give his opening speech, raising his golden goblet to toast his happy people.
My dearest subjects, it fills my heart with joy to see you all here tonight.
Suddenly, the heavy doors of the hall slammed open with a boom that silenced the music instantly. A strange, tall figure entered the hall, cloaked entirely in swirling shadows that seemed to absorb the light. It was Lord Vesper, a creature of pure silence who hated the joyful noise of the kingdom. He glided across the floor without making a sound, like a dark cloud moving across the sun. No one moved, frozen by the sudden drop in temperature and the eerie silence he brought with him. Only Ilara tracked his movements, her sharp eyes watching his shadow hand reach toward the king. Lord Vesper unleashed a wave of dark purple magic that struck the king right in the throat. The king opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. His voice had been stolen instantly. Vesper caught the voice, which looked like a glowing golden ball of light, and trapped it in a glass jar. Panic erupted in the Great Hall as guests gasped in horror at their silent, terrified king.
Father! What's wrong? Why aren't you speaking? Did you forget your speech? Oh dear, someone fetch water!
Serafina filled the frightened silence with a frantic torrent of nervous words, trying to fix the problem with noise. Lord Vesper laughed, a chilling, soundless laugh that echoed only in their minds and vanished in a puff of smoke. The next morning, the castle was in absolute chaos, with ministers arguing and servants running about aimlessly. The poor king sat on his throne, looking miserable and mute, unable to give any commands to his people. Serafina paced the throne room floor, talking non-stop to her advisors, offering 100 silly solutions.
We must organize a search party. No, a choir. If we sing loud enough, maybe his voice will come back.
While everyone listened to Serafina's confusing orders, Ilara quietly approached the spot where Vesper had stood. She knelt down and noticed a faint shimmering trail of purple dust left behind on the stone floor. Ilara quickly sketched the unique pattern of the dust in her notebook and ran to show the royal wizard. The wizard examined the drawing and gasped, recognizing the magical residue immediately.
This is the dust of the Echo Caves, far to the north. Only a creature of deep silence could dwell there.
Serafina immediately declared that she would go to the caves and demand her father's voice back.
I shall march right up to that shadow person and give him a piece of my mind. He won't know what hit him.
But the king gently took Ilara's hand and placed it on top of Serafina's, indicating they must go together. He knew that Serafina's noise needed Ilara's wisdom, and Ilara's observation needed Serafina's courage. The sisters packed their bags with food, warm cloaks, and Ilara's sketchbook, ready for a dangerous quest. They waved goodbye to their silent father and stepped out of the castle gates, heading toward the frozen north. Their journey first led them through the Whispering Woods, a strange forest where the trees had faces. The trees were very grumpy and sensitive to loud noises, sleeping with their branch arms folded. Ilara moved through the woods like a graceful ghost, her steps light and silent on the moss. Serafina, however, found the silence unbearable and began to hum loud tunes to fill the air.
My goodness, it's awfully quiet in here, isn't it, Ilara? A little tune wouldn't hurt. La la la!
Her singing caused the trees to wake up angrily, snapping their branches and shaking their leaves. Magical squirrels threw acorns at Serafina's head, trying to make her stop the noise. Ilara quickly pulled her sister behind a large rock, putting a finger to her lips in a desperate shush gesture. Serafina looked at her sister's serious face and realized her noise was putting them in danger. She zipped her lips shut with her fingers and nodded, promising to be as quiet as a mouse. They continued walking and soon came to a fork in the path where two identical trails diverged. Serafina forgot her promise and immediately started debating which way was better out loud.
Well, the left path looks sunnier, but the right path has prettier flowers. What do you think? Left? Right?
Ilara ignored the chatter and knelt down, intently studying the faint tracks of animals on the left path. She saw that the rabbits and deer all chose the left path, which meant it was the safe one. She stood up and confidently pointed left, showing Serafina the animal tracks in the dirt. Serafina was impressed by her sister's observation and decided to follow her lead without arguing. As night fell, they set up camp under the stars, warming their hands by a small fire. For the first time, Serafina sat quietly, enjoying the peaceful silence with her sister. The next day, they reached a deep ravine crossed by a bridge made entirely of transparent ice. A massive ice troll blocked their path, holding a giant club made of a frozen tree trunk.
None shall pass unless you answer my riddle. But you must answer without speaking a word.
Serafina panicked, covering her mouth with her hands, for she didn't know how to explain things without talking. Ilara stepped forward calmly, looking the troll in the eye, ready to accept the challenge.
I have cities but no houses. I have mountains but no trees. I have water but no fish. What am I?
Serafina looked confused, her mind racing with words, but Ilara knew the answer instantly. Ilara opened her sketchbook and quickly drew a detailed map of the world on a fresh page. She showed the drawing to the troll, pointing to the mountains and the oceans on the paper map. The troll scratched his chin, looked at the drawing, and then broke into a wide, toothy grin.
A map? You are correct, little silent one. You may pass my bridge safely.
Serafina hugged Ilara, amazed at how clever her silent sister was to solve the riddle so fast. Finally, after many days of travel, they reached the gaping mouth of the vast Echo Caves. The inside of the cave was made of sharp, glittering crystals that reflected their images 1,000 times. As they walked deeper, they began to hear faint, ghostly whispers echoing off the cold crystal walls. These were the sounds of the thousands of stolen voices that Lord Vesper had trapped over the years. Serafina was horrified by the creepy sounds, and her natural reaction was to shout to drown them out.
Hello! Is anyone there? Lord Vesper, we are here for the king's voice. Show yourself!
Her loud voice echoed violently around the cave, causing sharp icicles to vibrate and crack ominously above their heads. Ilara saw a massive icicle loosen and pulled Serafina back just as it crashed down in front of them.
Just happened.
Serafina gasped, realizing her loud voice could bring the whole cave crashing down on top of them. They crept forward in silence until they reached the massive central cavern of the villain. Lord Vesper sat on a throne made of frozen silence, surrounded by swirling shadows. Around him floated hundreds of glowing glass orbs, each containing a stolen voice that swirled like smoke. In the center, highest of all, was the bright golden orb containing the king's commanding voice. Lord Vesper stood up, towering over the girls, and spoke into their minds without opening a mouth.
More noise. Why must you creatures always fill the beautiful silence with your babble?
It's not meaningless. Voices are beautiful. And you are a mean, thieving shadow bully.
Behind him floated hundreds of glowing glass orbs, each containing a stolen voice. Serafina, fueled by anger, unleashed the loudest torrent of words she had ever spoken, trying to overwhelm the villain with sheer noise. But Lord Vesper just smiled a shadowy smile. The noise didn't hurt him, it just fed the chaotic energy in the cave. He raised a hand, and the sound waves of Serafina's voice were sucked into a new glass orb that formed in the air.
A new glass orb formed, trapping her voice inside, and Serafina grasped her throat in shock. Her voice was gone. She looked at Ilara with wide, terrified eyes, realizing that her greatest weapon had just been taken away. Lord Vesper turned his menacing attention to the silent sister, expecting her to cower in fear now that she was alone. But Ilara did not cower. Instead, she stepped forward calmly, closed her eyes, and took a deep, steady breath. She didn't try to make noise. Instead, she focused all her energy on creating a zone of absolute, pure, peaceful silence around her. A wave of shimmering white magic pulsed out from Ilara, pushing back the shadows and dampening the chaotic echoes in the cave. It was a zone of absolute silence, but a peaceful, loving silence, not a cold and empty one like the villains. Lord Vesper shrieked in his mind as the pure silence hit him. It burned him like fire, for he was a creature of chaos. He shrank back against his throne, his shadowy form wavering and weakening under the relentless pressure of Ilara's magic. Ilara opened her eyes and made urgent, sharp hand gestures to her sister, pointing frantically at the floating glass orbs. Serafina, forced to be silent, finally truly listened with her eyes and understood exactly what Ilara wanted her to do. While Vesper was distracted by Ilara's magic, Serafina grabbed a handful of heavy ice rocks from the cave floor. With perfect aim, she threw the rocks at the floating orbs, shattering them one by one with loud crashes. Smash! Crash! As each orb broke, a stolen voice was freed into the air. The cavern filled with a cacophony of laughs, shouts, and songs from the released voices. The sudden explosion of joyful noise, combined with Ilara's quieting magic, was too much for the shadow villain to handle.
No! I cannot handle the silence and the sound. It is tearing me apart. Make it stop!
Lord Vesper let out a final mental scream and dissipated into nothingness, defeated by the combination of sound and silence. The golden orb containing the king's voice drifted down into Ilara's rating hands, warm and glowing. The orb containing Serafina's voice also broke, and she immediately let out a loud cheer of victory.
We did it! Ilara, you were amazing! That silence thing was brilliant, and then I threw the rocks. Did you see me throw the rocks?
Ilara smiled a huge, genuine smile and hugged her noisy sister tightly, proud of what they had accomplished together. The sisters traveled back home, carrying the golden orb safely through the woods.
We did it! Isn't it beautiful, Ilara? The forest is finally happy again. Look, the castle! We did it!
They entered the throne room where the kingdom was anxiously awaiting their return. Ilara gently placed the golden orb against her father's chest, and it melted into his heart. The king took a deep breath and spoke his first words in weeks, his voice strong and clear.
My brave daughters, you have saved me and the entire kingdom of Chime.
That night, another grand party was held to celebrate their victory, but things were a little different this time. Serafina still talked a lot, but she also learned to pause and listen to what others had to say. And while Ilara still did not speak with words, she found she could communicate even more clearly now. The people of the kingdom learned to listen to her silence and understand her beautiful, observant heart. The two sisters, one noisy and one quiet, ruled the kingdom together in perfect harmony. And they all lived happily and sometimes quietly ever after.
Did you love this magical tale? Please like, share, and subscribe.
Friends do like and subscribe channel.